index as well, trading with a decent amount of gains.
Most Fed observers now expecting multiple rate cuts.
Money printing, can it take you out of this rut? And bottom formation, you don't want to preempt that. Let the market do that for you.
There is clearly the market pricing in a recession.
First rates are indicating that the market is holding on exactly where the pre-opening left it.
Performance of the auto industry is not as per the expectations.
We are seeing FY21 end at close to 6%.
It's turning out to be a session where we are seeing some amount of recovery for the markets.
Yesterday, the number of new cases in outside of the province of Hubei, but inside China, were 11.
We should be able to screen anybody who's coming from the affected areas.
The government says that they've detected 6 new cases that had come in contact with the coronavirus patient from New Delhi.
Market is up 93 points.
Okay, it's been a much better looking screen today, and at one point, while it looked like the market was again seeing that sell-on rally, in the last 2 hours, the markets made some kind of reversal, and helped by the global cues as well. It looks like, at least for the time being, the market's trying to protect some levels, and as of now, making a move, not quite at the highest point yet, but getting there as far as the Nifty is concerned, and even on the Bank Nifty. Let's see what the last hour brings for us. Also interesting because in the evening we have that coordinated central bank action, or perhaps something like that being discussed on the call. So that will be important as well. So, hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Anuj. Absolutely, and because of that, I think markets are going into that event with a very, optimistic bias. Let's pull up European indices. In fact, most of the European markets are up around 2%. Dow futures were slightly negative after that monster Monday rally, but now they've also turned positive. So they're up about 180, 190 points, and most of the European markets are, that's the screen for you, trending with pretty decent gains. Now, Anuj, sort of where does it leave us? We've fallen, of course, in step with global cues. Today we are moving higher because markets have their hope on this evening event. So, what should traders be looking at the moment?
For starters, I think we discussed this in the morning as well, that today perhaps at some point the trade will be slightly better than yesterday, and just because the market chose to sell off in the last hour, it may not repeat today. And in fact, for me, the key issue is every day, the last hour, the call that you need to take is whether you want to keep your shorts open or you want to keep your longs open. Right now, I think, of course, we speak with the benefit of the screen right now, but I think the sense you have is with an oversold market and with the central bank action likely, with money printing likely, do you want to keep your shorts open? I think that's something which will scare the short as well. Not the short who shorted at 12,200, but someone who shorted at, say, 11,300 or 11,400. Also, Surabhi, yesterday's data was quite interesting because for the kind of sell down that we had in the market, the FII data was not so bearish, either in the cash market. In the futures market, there was a lot of covering and there was some long build up as well. So it looks like the market was playing for a bit of a bounce. The issue with this market is that, your stop losses are very deep. If you're a trader, I think you're working with 100-point stop loss on the Nifty, about 300-point stop loss in the Bank Nifty. Can you do that? That's a call that you need to take. But I think today has been a much better day. The mid caps have also improved, the advanced decline still in favor of declines. But I think for now, yesterday's low now becomes sort of sacrosanct because today you didn't go there. That is always going to be important.
Well, let's see if this momentum can continue. Right now, the market doesn't seem to have any reason to let go of the slight upswing that we've witnessed in the last couple of minutes as well. So here's what's lined up for you on closing bell today. We finally got some green back on the screen today. The market has been holding on to hopes of some coordinated global action from central banks. The all-important call lined up at 5:30 p.m. our time. Now, of course, the rise of the fresh cases in India is also something that the market has been pondering over. We'll discuss all these trends, plus, of course, the day's action, the stocks that are leading this rebound, all of that coming up with S.P. Tulsian of sptulsian.com, market expert Anand Tandon, and Abhimanyu Sofat of IIFL. Now, what's the way to approach this volatile phase in the market, and what are the charts indicating beyond today or tomorrow? Sushil Kedia, of course, had been calling out for caution, and then we got this big correction on the Dow and, of course, other global markets. We'll find out what trades he's working with for the moment. And, of course, along with all of that for the day, the last hour trades, as usual, coming up with the experts, Mitessh Thakkar and Prakash.
Okay, in fact, let's start the show with the last hour calls. We have Mitessh Thakkar and Prakash to guide you through the last hour and how to position yourself for that. Good afternoon, Mitessh. It's been a decent day. The dips have been bought. The rallies were sold earlier, but in the last hour, there's decent buying. Your approach to trade now and your stock calls?
That's right, Anuj. We had a chop in volatile session, but I think the good thing is that we are positive and positive by quite a margin. And second, I think, is the fact that the indicators on the hourly chart have just started to turn their direction and maybe just looking on the upside. So I want to see more confirmation and strength coming in, but I think we could have a pullback which could see us at least attempt levels back to about 11,400, 450 to begin with. And if we cross that, we'll look at further targets. So for the timing, I think keeping that kind of a view, my sense is that we should be trading slightly more on the long side. If you have short positions open even now, I think it's a good idea to at least prune them or shift to option side. On the stock side, I have a buy on Z with a stop at 242 for targets of 258 and a buy on Apollo Hospital with a stop at 1694 for targets of 1735.
Okay, so Apollo Hospitals and Z, those are some of the trades that Mitessh is going with. Prakash, what's your read-through when there's this much-awaited bounce back that has come in? Would you trade the index at all? Otherwise, what about stocks?
Good afternoon. Well, so far I would look at a Friday low. That's a very important low to work with. And we have survived that today. Yesterday was an aberration, I would say that. But structurally, it is still weak. It is still, I don't see strength. There's a weakness is there. There's a less of weakness now, I would say. That is no sign of strength. Possibly it could turn into a strength. And I would say the market would improve once it starts to trade about 11,400. Unless that happens, I would assume it's down. So I wouldn't trade aggressively long on indexes. Just stay out of it. Let's see what happens after 15 or 20 minutes. But meantime, I would say that Biocon looks good to me. Very good chance. We can see it climb to around 310 zones, stop below 294. And I also like Dabur. Dabur could climb to around 516, stop below 547.
Okay, well, those are some technical calls. Let's move on then and invite SP Tulsian of sptulsian.com and Anand Tandon in this discussion. Good afternoon, Ms. Tulsian. Today, we've seen a decent move in a lot of pharma names. Cipla is up 5.5%, Sun Pharma is up 5.5%, Dr. Reddy's is up 5%. Your thoughts on this newfound sort of interest in this space?
Anuj, probably two reasons. One, that in many parts of the China supply scene having resumed, at least the production scene having resumed, and people are expecting that because it was very confusing that which pharma companies, Indian pharma companies are seen affected because of the non-availability of API from China. But since the production started having resumed there, and the demand of the pharmaceutical products in coming in world over, because you have seen more than 60 countries having the signs of this one. So you have a lot of fear, a lot of demand. So probably this could only be the reason that all the pharma stocks are seen to be moving up.
Okay, pharma stocks are, of course, among the green pocket of the market today. Let's take a look at some of the other movers and shakers. Quite a few of the metal stocks have also rebounded, and you're seeing names like Hindalco, Tata Steel, JSW Steel. All of them are pulling back on the upside today. Mr. Tulsian, good afternoon, sir. Now, this is obviously a technical rebound that's come through. Now, for someone who is looking at portfolio creation in this volatile environment, should they consider metal stocks at all? And if so, which would be your pick?
See, Surabhi, one may call it as a technical rebound, but the correction also seen having happened on the technical nature only. So I think, and yesterday also I have said in the afternoon when the market corrected, fell by about 300, 400 points on Sensex, that this is a time to buy the stocks. And I don't know whether one would really be wise to enter into the cement or maybe the steel stocks at the current level, though the things are seen to be having promising for the ferrous metal steel stocks going forward because of the local demand. But still, probably I may not be advising to buy in the commodity. Rather, better to look for the banking stocks, consumption stocks, pharma stocks. Maybe these are the sectors which are having the larger interest or maybe having larger potential to move up further. But still, if someone is willing to buy, then probably one can look for Steel Authority and JSW Steel. I may not be able to buy the stocks like Hindalco because Hindalco doesn't have, aluminium has not shown any kind of improvement. But yes, if you wish to, then probably the ferrous metal could be looked into like JSW Steel and Steel Authority, only two stocks in that category.
Okay. Well, Idea has made some payment to the government. This is on the Spectrum news. That's what PTI seems to be getting. Anand Tandon is also with us. Anand, hi, good afternoon. Thanks for joining us. So the big hope that the market right now has is coordinated central bank action and recovery globally. And that's why let's buy metal stocks. Your thoughts on this trade?
Well, generally, the US market, after all, is factoring in not just 1 or 2, but perhaps 4 interest rate cuts going up to the next year. If it doesn't happen, I think, the market is set to go into another tizzy. So you have to assume that it will. Overall, purely from a valuation perspective, there are a whole large number of sectors now which have kind of fallen where the bottom has fallen out. Whether it is power, it is PSUs, it is, the metals, as you mentioned, and so on. So at this stage, if you are going to be betting on that somewhere during the course of this year, over the next 12 months, 12 to 24 months, you will have a broad-based kind of recovery, this would be a good time to actually do a contra investing and look at non-momentum stocks or which have momentum on the downside and start buying from there.
Okay, all right. Let's look at some more stocks that are on the move. Bajaj Auto, because of course, its going ex-dividend has been under pressure, down about 3% today. The other one, of course, is Yes Bank, where we just put out a story some time back about the other possibilities. It seems some of the interested parties would perhaps find it difficult to get regulatory clearance as well. So there are different plan B, C, D that also seems to be in the works. Anand, good afternoon. First on Bajaj Auto, if you were to look at two-wheeler stocks at all, I mean, on one hand, we keep hearing about the agrarian side of the economy doing much better. If you were to look at two-wheeler stocks, would you pick either a Hero Moto or Bajaj?
Well, if you force a purchase, then I would imagine that, Hero is probably more linked to the rural economy than Bajaj is. And purely on the basis that, the market and the retail in the rural areas will do better, one could argue for Hero. But, for me right now, the better play in terms of rural economy continues to remain the tractors rather than any of these two-wheelers, and definitely not the four-wheelers.
I don't know what the market is reading into this news, but Idea is now up 11%. So, strange things have happened. Of course, today is a day where there's some bit of buying as well, so in a lot of names. So that could also explain this move that you're seeing right now. Mr. Tulsian, Century Textiles, one of the stocks that you recommended yesterday, that in carnage perhaps one should buy. That is up 6.5% now. So I'm assuming that call is still intact. But anything else in this space which you would want to buy?
So, yesterday I recommended 2 or 3 stocks. One was Century Textiles, second was Godrej Consumer, third was HDFC Limited, and we continue with both or with all 3. Though the Century Textile and Godrej Consumers both are up by about 6-7%, but I think that HDFC Limited is really offering an excellent opportunity because the stock is seen ruling at the yesterday's level only, plus minus maybe a couple of rupees, and even one can look to add into the SBI also, because there is no need to worry on the SBI card IPO. People have got little worried or maybe little jittery on the grey market premium of SBI cards having fallen to about 180 rupees from 300, but SBI card is going to evoke very good response in spite of the higher interest cost. So all these things is going to be seen coming back. Probably there was some kind of a report of the additional NPA or the slippages seen happening, or maybe NPL increasing, but that is, the horizon is given till FY22. So you have the limited choices of investing in these stocks, and my buy call continues to remain on the Century Textile, Godrej Consumer, HDFC Limited, SBI even at the current level.
Okay, all right. So those are some of the ideas that Mr. Tulsian is working with. Let's take a break on that note. We'll come back on the other side. This conversation continues. And just a reminder, we also get you some more technical perspectives. So Sheel Kedia, founder of Kedianomics, is also going to join in.